It's episode 64, and I got Jake, SmartB Ambassador here, Jake O'Driscoll, because it's an MMA-related podcast, and Dan doesn't care. He's asked if you can skip this one.
Yeah, awesome.
So let's talk about you, man. How's your training going? You're on Subversion tomorrow. You got a tough opponent, we think, Yao Marco.
Yep.
How's your training going? What you been doing?
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me on the podcast. Really appreciate it. Training's been going really good, man. We've had a really good camp for this. We were coming off the back of supposed to be a Grapple Fest match, which unfortunately I couldn't get to. So we took a week off the intensity just to dial it back a bit and then bring it back up. So in good shape, weight's good, feel sharp. The training room's been a vibe lately down at Essence. Like everybody's really pushing the pace and getting better, which is helping me a lot. Like you said, got a tough opponent. Don't know too much about him. Young Brazilian kid, won a belt in Sydney here not long ago and trains with a legend in Bruno Alves, who's someone I've followed a lot when he was competing. So definitely looking forward to a different challenge. And I always love being on the Subversion stage. It's such a different atmosphere in there, and it's such a different event to every other event that I've been on. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I've got some teammates on the card too, so that just makes it even better.
So when you have teammates on the card, do you structure all your training around like those? How many you got? Those 3 people, 4.
Yeah, so we got Peaches, Josh Stolten, and then who's a direct teammate. We train together every day, and then I got Adele, Fornarino, who's in the title fight, and then I'm actually pretty close with Ash and Ali. I help Ali quite a bit.
That's going to be
close.
interesting.
Yeah, me and Ash have been pretty close for a while too, so that's it. It's like your 2 brothers fighting, but it's not too bad. But we do structure towards events, more towards rule sets than anything. That's why Peaches was able to take this match pretty without hesitation, because he was ready. We stay ready. We just dial up the intensity or take it back if we need to, but a lot of the training stays pretty similar to what we'd want. Sub-only matches, they're different to points, so we definitely have to have a different mindset towards a sub-only compared to if we're doing an 80cc comp, which is what we prepare for the most. But we're looking forward to it, and we feel like we've got a good strategy in place. So
when there's when there's a sub-only match, like Subversion is technically sub-only.
Yeah.
There's no points. But it goes to referee decision after the 7 minutes if there's no sub.
Yeah.
And you have no way of knowing, like at IBJJF tournament or even ADCC, you can see the scoreboard.
Yes, yeah.
But at a Subversion event type thing, you have no way of knowing actually which direction the judges are leaning. So how do you as a coach manage that with your athletes?
Yeah, so like in saying that, like we kind of feel like anytime we go out there, we never want to leave it to the judges. And I know a lot of people say that, but a lot of it's just a bit of cliche for some people. For us, it's true. Like we do not train to not submit people. A lot of the times that we compete, like a lot of the athletes I mentioned in terms of Adele, Ash, Peaches, myself, if you look at any of our past matches over the last 2 years, 90% plus I reckon are finishes. Like we go out there to finish. So in saying that though, like with the sub-only rule set with Subversion and a Grapple Fest, they really favour genuine submission attempts. So we can really just dial, in the coaching corner what we believe is more action, what is actually pushing forward. And we train like that in the training room, so we actually put into place training structure that would be like, you're going back too much, or when you defend like this is how it looks, or this is what it would look like in the judge's eyes. We don't just play to chance, we take as much of that away as possible. And it is a forefront in our mind. So like my opponent tomorrow, I know he's tough. Like I'm going to go out there and try and finish him from second one. But if I don't, I'm going to make sure I try and control the match from second one. So there's a lot of things we can do and can't do, but at the same time, if it does go to the judges, it is what it is, man. Luke Martin's actually going to be in my corner, which I'm very thankful for. I actually versed him on Subversion a couple of years ago. Very uneventful match, we'll both admit to that. He had a couple of entries on my legs. I think I got a sweep or a takedown, and he got the decision. I'm not mad about it. You know what I mean? Neither of us got the submission, so I don't really think like we could have kept going, to be fair. So it's one of those things that we really want to hunt the sub, and all the athletes that come from my side will definitely be doing that.
Yeah, so Luke's a great. When I used to corner people, I would be really aggressive because I brought up in jiu-jitsu by a Brazilian team, and they were always really over the top loud. And then I was at a competition seeing Luke in the corner just being so calm and collected, and I was like, man, that seems to work way better.
Yeah,
So
Luke's an amazing coach, and it's funny because I said we competed against each other, and then last time I was on Subversion, I versed Baby Dave, so Luke was in the corner there, and then at trials, like we coached against each other so much, and then even in the finals, I think I coached 3 athletes in the finals, and he had maybe 4 or 5. So a majority of the finals were coached against each other as well. So we have a very, very good relationship. And I just spoke to him. I'm coming out. He was in my gym a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, man, I'd love for you to sit in my corner, because I do love the way he thinks about jiu-jitsu, and I do love the way that he sees jiu-jitsu, and I know that he's going to see some stuff that I might not, or calm me down if I'm getting too aggressive, and he knows my style because I've versed a lot of his guys, so he's prepped for me quite a few times, and I'm looking forward to it, and I know he can be a bit controversial sometimes, but I love him, man, because you always know where you stand with him, and I prefer that over anything. I'd rather that than the back and forth, a bit of this, bit of that. But with Luke, it's like, no, it's this. And that's
I think a lot of the controversial stuff he says is just jokes, and it's not. It's kind of like he's more a 1980s kind of personality that people can't handle the fact that you can be politically incorrect and still be funny.
Yeah. Even their whole team though, man, like they've got obviously big Josh Saunders and some other guys there, like. Man, they're doing such good work over there. Like, to me, they're the best no-gi gym in the country. And Absolute is obviously up there. Like, Lachlan's a good friend of mine, and he runs an amazing gym with an amazing program. But for me, like, the last 2 years or 3 years, especially with the trials, especially with international super fights, especially with ADCC, like, and then that's not even factoring in Luke's ability to coach MMA fighters at the same time, which... I'm not too up to date with in terms of who he's got on his roster, but it always seems like they're competing and they're doing really well. So those are the kind of guys, like that gym, Absolute, like we want to be in that bracket. My gym wants to be in that bracket. Like, okay, we're with those guys, and I really feel like we're pushing that competition results wise, but also just culture and understanding of jiu-jitsu wise too. Like when Luke was out training with us, we went over a lot of stuff, and we had very similar ideas and very similar concepts on some things. So. It's a really good spot to be.
Yeah, you run Essence in Perth, right? So you do that. You compete at a high level. You have your mentor program. You have your Patreon. I really like. How do you have time to do it all? And do you ever think about like when you'll step away from competing and become more like a coach? Because that's what Luke's really done. He stopped competing completely.
Yeah, it used to be my biggest fear, man. Like I used to I used to hate that I thought I was a better coach than I was a competitor, because I'm the kind of the guy that I just want to be out there, man. Like I don't really. It's funny, I'll say I don't care about the result. I do, obviously, I want to win. But what I mean is I don't put any emphasis on other people's opinions of the result or how that affects me. So I only care about how I perform. And that I could perform amazingly and still lose. But to me, it's not the biggest of deals. So when it comes to balancing stuff out, I'm definitely leaning towards coaching more now. I've got Adele, who I work with full time every day. She's really hitting some stuff. We've got some big goals with her that she needs a full-time coach. I've got some other guys in the gym, Peaches, Bam Bam, who just got bronze at Nogi Worlds. She can definitely do some damage at trials and definitely look to win Nogi Worlds this year. So definitely leaning towards that more now, but more just being selective in what I compete in and when. Because the other thing as well is I've got my daughter as well, so that's for me the biggest thing is trying to balance it all with making sure I spend enough time with her. But I'm the kind of guy that people talk about all the time. They're like super disciplined, or they stick to routine or whatever, and that's usually when the camera's on. But for me, it literally is the same. Like I do the same thing day in, day out. I make sure I structure my time properly. I don't waste time until I get exhausted. Then I might spend time watching Netflix or whatever. But most of the time it is, man, just constant work. But I love it. So for me, it's like I don't ever feel like it's work.
Yep.
I do feel like I'm so blessed and thankful that I get to do this every day. And then all those outlets for me, they're not, it sounds weird, they're not money making outlets. They're outlets for me to help people. I do make money from them, obviously, which is always a good thing. But for me, it's not like, oh, I want to grow my Patreon so I can have X amount and have this nice car. It's like, I want to grow my Patreon because I know how much I can help people. Or the mentor programs, you know, like the mentor programs are difficult because they're quite new, and I've been doing them for a few years. They're getting more popular now, but you know, when I first started them, yeah, they cost money because they take time from me, and I gotta feed my daughter. But I know how much I can help people with these things and help people with the different sides of jiu-jitsu, not just the technique, you know, like the business side of things, the managerial side of things, dealing with promoters, promoting yourself, marketing yourself. There's so many aspects now. If you want to make money in jiu-jitsu, you need to understand these things. You can't just be good at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You know? And it's difficult because a lot of people don't understand that, and they just want to be good at jiu-jitsu and then expect these things to be handed to them, but they won't, because there's not enough money in jiu-jitsu to just sit back and be like, oh, I'm the best, I'm going to get paid. It doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? You got to be able to market yourself. You got to be able to sell your product, which is your jiu-jitsu, to many different platforms. Now, your platform might not be the same as Gordon Ryan. Gordon Ryan likes to talk a certain way and do a certain kind of thing. Your platform could be something else, you know, but as long as you lean into your platform and find your niche, you can make money, which is important now if you want to be a full-time athlete.
Yeah, I've talked a lot about the difference between professionalism in jiu-jitsu and like the amateur nature of actually the thing, and what you're saying is like actually very true, you know, like professionals understand that you need to have management, you need to have sponsors, you need to have someone to organize basically your life, coaches to help you, and amateurs think like, oh, I can just train 2 a days and I'm going to be a famous jiu-jitsu person.
Yeah, this is the funniest thing, because we have a professional program at my gym, and a lot of people that don't train there don't understand it, because they're like, professionals, you can't be professional at jiu-jitsu, or you guys don't make money. It's like, okay, it's not about professionalism as in terms of like how much money we make. It's about being professionals in every aspect of our life, on and off the mats, to not only make ourselves better as jiu-jitsu athletes, but make those guys next to us better. So what our training room does different and than a lot of training rooms is, I know that everybody that trains in that room with me wants me to get better. They're not there to challenge me, or they challenge me obviously in roles and they push me, but they're not there to take away what I have, or to take away from me, or to badmouth me behind my back, or whatever. They're there to make me better, and I'll give 100% back to them. So when I say we've got pro training or pro team training, I don't mean like it's a room full of professionals. I have amateurs. I've got a guy that just gave his black belt. It's my 5th black belt. He's 67. I hope I got that right, Craigos. 67. He trains more than some of the professionals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's an amateur. He's 67 years old. It's not about how much you train. It's about what you're doing. You know, like if you're going to be late to training and you don't have a reason, if it's traffic or it's, you know, you woke up late or whatever, don't come. Professionals don't do that.
Yeah, that's not professional. Yeah.
Professionals don't do that. Everybody mops the mats, which is a basic one, but no one leaves the gym till the mats are done. You know, we have a check-in system. Everybody has to check in. Like, that's not me being like a dictator. That's like, if you can't do the little things right, you're not giving your all. And everybody in there needs to know that the guy or girl next to them is giving everything for the person, for somebody else. So we do that a lot, man. And, you know, we get a little bit of hate for it, like, oh, you act like professionals. Yeah, we do. You know, I've got an 18-year-old kid with me who's going to help me warm up on the weekend. And you're telling me that helping him learn how to be a professional in every aspect of his life is not going to help him when he's 22, 23 and he's trying to get a job? Like,
yeah, that's like, it highlights again, like these people who give that hate, they don't understand the difference between professional, especially in sports, being a professional in sport and an amateur in sport. Like, I deal a lot with rugby league clubs and stuff like that. I've talked to their coaches, and you know, they have things in all sports where in the news you'll have guys who are like, right now at the Melbourne Storm, Nelson Asafa Solomona, who is an elite level player, one of the best forwards in the league, has been dropped by the Melbourne Storm because he came back from off-season overweight.
Yep.
And if you had the same kind of equivalent in jiu-jitsu where you dropped somebody from the professional team for, you know, turning up late or being overweight, yeah, people on the internet, and especially in BJJ, would be like, what are you doing? You know, who do you think you are? But it's like, dude, that's actually the difference between professional.
We've done this, and we've done this multiple times, and we've done this a lot for not just like not following the rules that the whole team follows, but also just not being a good teammate. You know what I mean? We've had some people leave, and you know, on the outside they're really good at jiu-jitsu, and we have a saying, and I'll say it in a minute, but they're really good at jiu-jitsu, or you know, they win a lot of tournaments and they bring a lot of exposure because they're good at jiu-jitsu, but they're just not good teammates. They just don't care about anyone else, and they just don't belong in our room. You know, we have a saying that if the only thing you bring to the team or the table is good jiu-jitsu, we don't want you. You know what I mean? Because we can make good jiu-jitsu and we can get good jiu-jitsu, and then even at the end of the day, I don't even care how good at jiu-jitsu you are. I care like how you are as a person and how you are as a teammate, and you know how you are around other people. Like you just met my crew. I've got a few of them here with me, 5 or 6 of them here with me. You know, I don't even have to second guess whether they're going to behave or do the right thing or be good people, because I know they are. You know what I mean? I wouldn't surround myself, or I wouldn't surround my daughter or anything like that with these people if that wasn't the case. So like, yeah, people don't understand it, but it's going that way. If you look at 90% of the people that win trials at the moment, and I like to focus on trials because we're a no-gi gym, and ADCC is obviously the pinnacle for us, so you know, it's no disrespect to other organisations or whatever.
You can disrespect IBJ, it's fine.
It's just one of those things that they, you know, that's what we focus on. Like 90% of the athletes now that are winning these things have full-time coaches.
Yeah.
They have full-time training squads, they have full-time camps, and you know, Fion's on the card on the weekend. And, you know, she's always been good at jiu-jitsu. When she moved over to Essential with JT and had that camp, like the ability to have a team around her that just wants to build her up, and, you know, she's got Gabe Souza, her partner now, is the same thing, and she put these people around her. Look at her, she's a GOAT.
Yeah,
she went
sure.
She went very quickly from being one of the best women in the sport to the best woman in the sport, best lady in the sport. Like, and she's packing out seminars, she's making money, she's traveling the world, she's winning titles, and like, you know, like I said, I've got a daughter. I don't care if she does jiu-jitsu as a competitor or not, it doesn't bother me. But if she does, there's a role model. You know, it's possible. You know, Adele Fornarino, there's a role model. You know, Bam Bam, there's a role model. You have these opportunities now if you want them. But you got to be able to do the right thing, and that's being a professional.
Yeah, yeah. I've said, like, for the past year, but it's becoming more and more evident now. Like, last year, I would always say the only 100% professional athletes that I know of in the sport are Gordon Ryan and Josh Saunders. Mm-hmm. Because they do exactly what you're talking about. They have a coach, as opposed to just an instructor that they go to their classes, a coach who cares about every aspect of their life, who makes sure they always do the right thing, who makes sure they're a professional and good person, and also they do jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And those two guys also, they dedicate their entire lives to jiu-jitsu, where all they want to do is become world champions. Yes. And then you have a lot of, like, I'm seeing a lot more of it in the jiu-jitsu, like, community now, like your gym, Luke's gym, some of the guys at Grappling Education, like Ali's at Sydney Wrestling Academy, Lachlan Giles Gym, Absolute, a lot more places like that are following that proper, actual professional sporting model. Yeah. And I've followed sport since I was a kid. You know, and it was one of the first things I know. I started jiu-jitsu 7-8 years ago or something like that. My brother made me do it. And one of the things I saw then was, like, these people would say, I'm a professional jiu-jitsu practitioner. But all it meant was they had their name printed on their gi and they trained twice a day. Yeah. And then I've seen this rise with guys like you and stuff out there that, no, now I actually see professionalism in the sport. Yeah. And I use that term, like, you know, only Josh Saunders and Gordon Ryan are the only, like, true professionals, just to highlight the point. Yeah. It's really, I've seen it grow. You know, it's 6-7 years ago, honestly, I don't think there was probably like 5 professionals in the whole world. But now there's, like, it's made a rapid change, and I think that's why there's growth. Yep. Like, a lot of the fact that there are people like Fion and your guys, and Adele is, like, you know, I saw her at trials. When was it in Australia?
It was a while ago. It was like
22.
Yeah, 2022.
Yeah, so she wasn't expected to win, but there was a difference in the way she carried herself then. Yeah, that was noticeable, actually. Yeah. And I guess it has a lot to do with the fact that she was more professional than the others. And it's, you use the word professional a lot and you drop it a lot, but it's really important in sports, all sports. Yeah. You know, that people understand the difference between amateur and professional is not just saying, I'm a professional. Yeah, yeah. I don't work, I drive Ubers, and I train twice a day, and I got my name on my rash guard.
It's not that, yeah. Even like using Adele as an example, as you brought her up, like, she has a great coach. You know, she trains at Dominance with Dave Hart. She represents Atos. You know, she got Andre Galval. But it's not, you know, she goes above and beyond. You know, like, I talk to her every single day. She lives in Melbourne, I live in Perth, but I talk to her and her partner Nev every day. All right, what do we do today? And every day has a focus. Every day has It's mapped out, it's outlined. You know, we pick it up or we drop it back if we need to. We do strategic talk every day. We talk about marketing, her brand. We talk about, you know, there's some things that Adele's done that they look, you know, like she wears the daddy hat, and you know everyone loves that, and it's gone crazy, and it's a big thing. Yeah, that wasn't an accident. You know, there's things that we put into place. Like we have a long-term plan, you know, and our long-term plan involves some big names and taking out some big names and things like that. We think ahead a long time in the future, not just all right, this next one. She's so young, you know, she's got so much ability to take over that women's GOAT spot, which I think she definitely has the potential to do. But again, if she's not acting like a professional now, okay, when she starts being that level, she's at that level, but let's say she starts being the GOAT, what, you got to act like it now? Like, how do you just turn that on? You know, we got to practice, and she's not the best at it. You know, sometimes I have to, you know, pull her in and be like, oh, what's going on? Like, why didn't you do this? Or what happened here? And okay, yeah, I got to fix that. Yeah, I got to do that. But that's what coaches do, and you know, that's what mentors do, and you know, no one's going to be perfect all the time, but as long as she's like sticking to that path, you know, the potential is unlimited. And then again, it filters down. Like I said, we've got amazing women's program at Essence, so there's, you know, the role models there, but also just the other guys in the room too. You know, like if you see me acting like a professional, well then you're more likely to do it. If you see me slacking off, then you're like, oh, it's okay to slack off.
Yeah. It's okay to sit in the corner and just chat
exactly,
instead of training.
Yeah.
I used to run a comp team at my gym, and we were getting pretty good results. But then, it became too hard to get. When we moved to North Sydney, it became too hard to get to the actual gym. Started teaching more, and that's taken away from my competition preparation. And I kind of get that realization. That's why I asked you, like, how do you do it all? Because I started to teach more. It took away from my training, and then I just can't compete anymore. I don't feel confident to compete because I don't train enough.
Yeah, I train with a pro squad every day, and like I'll tell them, I love banter, so like sometimes I can be a bit over the top with it, but I love banter, and I tell them all the time, like, none of you work even close to as hard as I work, yet you want results that I've got. Like, catch up, you know, and I'm gonna keep doing it. Like, I'm gonna keep outworking you every day, and I'll tell you too. Like, it don't bother me because you don't like it. Work harder than me. It's like. It's easy. Like there's no secret. I'm not doing anything that you can't do. But what I find is, man, like I just have an ability to I'm gonna stuff this word up, but compartmentalize.
Yeah, you got it. Compartment. Don't worry, I stuff words up all the time.
You know what I'm talking about. So like I can really be like, okay, I can be athlete, then I can be coach, and then I'm home, I'm, you know, partner, and then I'm dad. Like I can do that quite well. I can't turn off the jiu-jitsu brain, which sucks sometimes. Like it's 24/7 all the time, but at the same time it's got me to where I am now, and I'm not even close to what I know I can achieve in jiu-jitsu, and it has nothing to do with competition. Like for me, if all I left to jiu-jitsu was a couple of trophies and belts that I won, I'd be terribly disappointed in what I'm doing, you know. Like there's so much more I can give to jiu-jitsu and people in jiu-jitsu. I think that's my purpose here, to help people through jiu-jitsu. So for me, it's always a part of a bigger plan. You know, when I start to get tired or start to, you know, I don't want to do this or don't want to do that, I really just think about, okay, well, it's not really for me. You know, it's for, you know, my family, my friends, and those who I can help. So that gives me a bit of a boost.
You mentioned your daughter. How old is she?
She's 7, nearly 8, but she acts like she's 18. She acts like she rules the roost a little bit. Well, definitely with me. She got me wrapped around her little finger, so yeah, she's good.
Is she going to start to? Does she do jiu-jitsu?
She trains since she's 2. She trains every week. She trains a couple times a week. She's tiny, so she struggles a bit. I don't force her. You know, every time I pick her up from school or she's on school holidays, I'll be like, "Are you going to training today?" And she always chooses. She's quite active. You know, her mum's quite active as well, so she had that role model as well, and she just sees what we do. You know, she just sees how we do it, and I never force her, and I'm never going to force her to compete. She's definitely going to have to train, especially to a level where she can defend herself. But I'm never going to force her to compete. She can choose what she wants. At the moment, she does multiple sports. She does netball at the moment, which is funny because she was playing that game with the rope and the tennis ball where you hit it with the little tennis racket, swings around, and the person hits it back. Yeah. And for some reason, she thought that was netball, so she begged her mum to sign her up for netball. her mum signed her up. I took her down there and she's like, what's this? I was like, this is netball. She's like, this is not what I want to do. But she's doing it now, but we always, for her, it's always like, you cannot quit during the term. If you want to do the sport, you do the whole term. And then if at the end of the term or the end of the season, you don't want to do anymore, fine. So she did gymnastics for a while, and then she got to the end of one of the terms, is like, I don't want to do it. I'm like, cool, no worries. But with jiu-jitsu, she loves it. She loves the belt. She loves grading. She's got friends there. She loves to wrestle in the gym and that, but I never force her, man. It's always her choice.
Yeah, I have because I have an 8-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son who do jiu-jitsu. They come on Saturday. I assist the kids class and they come.
Yeah.
And my daughter is there for a social club.
Yeah.
She just always wants to go no matter what because all of her little girlfriends are there. And we pair the girls up that don't want to be there for jiu-jitsu. They want to be there for the social club. And we let them... They have to do the moves. They have to do some resistance and stuff, but really they're not very good. But my son, he hates it. But his mum says he has to do one activity. Yeah. He has to do at least one. Otherwise, he'd be on his iPad all the time. He hates the learning. He only wants to compete.
Yeah, right.
And I don't really like taking him to external competition. He's competed twice in intercomps between our affiliates and won 2 golds. And I don't like to take him to external comps because I ref at external comps and stuff, and I see how the parents behave. And that's my thing. I don't want to expose him to that.
Terrible, man. And I grew up in a very competitive family, and my family were always very supportive, but they were also very hard on me in terms of, a few sayings that I could say now in this culture sound terrible, but my granddad's the person I'm closest to, and it was always, second is the first loser. Yeah. Which I know how it sounds. And
I say that.
And I don't feel like I would say that to my daughter. But at the same time, one, it was a different time. And two, he understood me as a person differently, I think. And he knew that motivated me. It didn't, put me off or put me down or whatever. But, man, I've seen some parents at competitions, and I talk about this a little bit too, in jiu-jitsu, right now, there's not enough money in it to be doing, what some parents are doing with their kids. There's no pathway, and that's what I look at. I don't look at the money per se. I look at the pathway. You look at sports in America. I know we're not America, but let's say you want to play tennis, right? There's pathways for you to go to school and earn now money, but also earn I don't know what they call it, but let's say a degree, whatever, at university and college, etc. before you go pro.
Oh yeah, they do the scholarship. A lot of scholarships in
and that's,
American
that's tennis,
unis.
but they do that for a multitude of sports, right? So even if you don't make it, you've got something you can do. When I was playing football, we didn't have anything. You either made it, or you worked with your mate doing a trade so you could play football, or once you failed, you then had to find something. And it was man, there's no pathway for it. So for these young kids, you don't want to kill their dreams, of course, but you also want to be realistic that unless you're prepared to go all in, you're probably not going to make that much money, and even if you do, the biggest chance of you making money would be through a successful gym, and that's more business and marketing strategy than it is jiu-jitsu accomplishments, because some of the biggest gyms in the world, they don't have competitors, you know what I mean? They just have hobbyists, and they have, a good business plan that gets people through the door and things like that. So it can definitely be difficult. Hopefully, in the next 10 to 15 years, it changes a bit and you can make a little bit more money or have a career pathway. But at the moment, there's nothing, so it's very difficult to tell a 10-year-old, you could be the best in the world, because you could be the best in the world and still work in a job that you hate.
How many world champions are there that you actually don't know who they are?
Oh, a lot, what I mean? And a lot. And again, I think Nogi's changing that a little bit, but again, it's changing it because it's very easily linked with MMA, and then you have to make that decision. Do I do MMA as well, or do I try and make a name there so I can do some more jiu-jitsu? It's I don't do MMA. I did previously, but I don't do it, and I haven't for a very, very long time, so I can't comment too much. But that's a hard sport to be playing around in if you're not fully serious. It's a pretty dangerous way to make money.
Yeah, that's because we talk about boxing. There's a lot of rugby league players and stuff who go to boxing, and AFL players as well, and they follow AFL. And they go there and sometimes they quit the sport to go in boxing because they see the potential for dollars. They see man, I earned $200,000 for this fight because of my name as an AFL or a rugby league player. They got a high pay packet for their first fight. I should quit and go do it 3 times a year.
Yeah.
But then after their next fight, they get an injury that puts them out for a year.
Yeah.
It's a hard sport.
Yeah, people don't, like, a lot of people, especially jiu-jitsu, they see lifestyle. They see I get to train in the morning, I can go to the beach, eat acai, go back at night, hang around. It's like, man, if that's cool, you can do that, especially if you got rich parents or like a trust fund or something. But if you're trying to make money, you can't do that. You know, people ask me that all the time. Well, you got your own gym, like, do you just hang out during the day? I'm like, man, I haven't been to, like, I don't like the beach, but I haven't been to the beach in ages. I don't have time to go to the beach.
You know, I've got a business to run.
I've got to work on the business. I've got to work on my athletes. And then I also have to study for myself, because obviously I'm the main coach in the gym, and I definitely got good mentors that I lean on all the time and ask questions. But like day to day, I've got no one in the room telling me, hey, you're making this mistake, or you're doing that, or you're doing this. So like, if I don't keep up on my own research and stay ahead of the game, then I'm going to fall behind, which is going to let my athletes down when it lets my gym down. So it's a lot, you know, it's not all beach and acai. It's definitely a lot of work.
Yeah, the young kids that get their parents to pay for their lives that get the beach and the acai.
Yeah, and again, man, like, I don't begrudge them. I say this all the time. Like, if my parents would turn around and be like, hey, here's $1 million, just do jiu-jitsu, I'd be like, yeah, sick, let's go. Like, I'd do it. Like, I love that. But, you know, I didn't, and Ava won't. Even if I make good money or whatever, like, she's not going to get that. She's going to learn what hard work is, and not through negativity, but she's going to learn what it takes to make your own way and things like that. But again, I don't begrudge. You know, one of the guys with us now is his son, and is 18, like I said, and his dad is here as well. Man, they get to spend quality time together through jiu-jitsu. They train together. They travel together. His dad paid for him to be here. I don't begrudge him for that. Like, good on him.
If you can.
Exactly. So like, it's not a case of if that's what you're getting, you should be shunned. No way. Like, take as much as you can, but also realize that you can have that and still work hard.
Yeah, know? Definitely.
Yeah.
If everything's been given to you, you can still work for it.
Oh, 100%. You can still work hard with handouts. You know, it's all about your mentality.
Yeah. All right, cool, man. Let's get on to some Subversion previews.
Cool.
Obviously, it is tomorrow night. Weigh-ins tonight. Tomorrow night kicks off at 6 p.m. 5 p.m. 5 p.m.
Yeah.
5 p.m. is when the doors open. I think 5:30 the fights start. There's 3 cards. You are the headliner of the prelim card.
Yeah, Adele and Peaches did me dirty there.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. But it's like, you know, I was talking to Matt yesterday, and it's like, you know, you're basically Davidson Figueiredo or Cody Garbrandt.
To be fair, we talk about this all the time. I got a mate, Devin Coatsy. We talk about this all the time. We'd rather actually be the first fight of the night, as long as we get paid the same, because then you just get to watch the rest of the card.
Yeah, that's true.
Obviously, having Peaches and Adele on there, like, I got coaching duties, and you know, Dave was supposed to fight Gabe, so that was quite high up the card, and Adele's got a title fight, so you know, that's quite high up the card. I'll give them a bit of banter about it, but I'm not salty about it. I don't mind. People are going to watch anyway.
Yeah, definitely going to watch, because it's always exciting. Like last time you fought Baby Dave, I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce his name.
Yeah.
And I thought you had him, man. I was sitting there. You had that nice bite on the leg, and I was just grabbed the people I was with. He's got him.
Yeah, I thought the same too. And it's funny because that match didn't go that long, but if you watch it, there's actually like 4 or 5 leg transitions in that small 45-second period. You know, there was actually a lot of jiu-jitsu going on, and I just second-guessed myself. And it's one of those things that you look back on and you go, wicked, I'll never do that again. You know, because I got to my spot. The whole training camp was to get to that spot. Like, this is where I think I can beat him, right? And I got there, and then I was like, that was too easy. He's tricking me, and I tricked myself. So like, that's one of those things. Yeah, I lost, which sucks, but it's also a lesson. I know I won't do that again, because now I'll just go for it. And if I miss, so what? I'd rather miss going for it than do that and second guess myself. And then also our game plan for Dave, and again, I've spoken to Luke about this, so it's common knowledge. We thought he'd get 1 or 2 attacks off. I'd be able to defend those attacks, and then he slows down mentally, and that's where I'd be able to pick up. Now, I'm not saying he's mentally weak or anything like that. I love Baby Dave, I think he's great. That's just what we thought as a game plan and a strategy. Well, he went the outside heel hook, and I was super comfortable. Like, I honestly, it looked bad. I honestly didn't feel a thing, and I was like, okay, that's 1. And then he went to a straight footlock, and I was like, that's 2. And I'm literally sitting in the straight footlock, and I can remember clearly that's how much this match meant to me. That's 2. So as soon as I get out of this, like, pace is going to pick up, and I'm going to start putting on him. Then when I went to get out of the straight footlock, I didn't realise he had the Aoki. I put myself straight into the Aoki, and he broke my stuff. So, him and Peaches will be good fun to watch. And, you know, Baby Dave's got such a big future in Jiu-Jitsu. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do too.
Poor guy's been knocked out of the last 2 trials by teammates.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But his time's coming. You know, he's beaten Gavin as well. But DeAndre Corbett, who just won East Coast trials impressively, and you know, Baby Dave submitted him. Not many people would know that, but I do, and our team does, and like that's a big win, you know, because those two aren't very different from each other. So you know, Baby Dave's got a big opportunity to do some damage, you know, and he's probably the favourite at 66 coming to the next trials, I'd say. I think it's his to lose, depending on who else shows up, but I think he's got a good shot.
So without giving too much away, how do you think him versus Peaches will go?
I mean, I think it's a good match for Peachy because people don't understand, and he won't mind me saying this, how short he is, you know, like, and how well he is with his ability to monitor range and monitor distance and keep himself safe. Baby Dave's definitely going to be a lot bigger. It'll just really depend on the strategy that Luke's come up with for Dave in the short time compared to what we've got for Dave. Because obviously we've prepared for Dave before, and Peach is a little bit difficult to deal with. You know, when he fought Jeremy at trials, Jeremy had a very hard time in the regulation period of just catching him, and he's quite slippery. So it'd be a fun one, man. All I know is that it's going to be a fun one. Like I think it's such a cool match to have. Obviously, I think Peaches can pull out the win, but it'd be a tough one too.
All right, so moving on, then you got your best friend Ash versus your best friend Ali.
Yeah, I know.
I was telling you on the way here, like no matter what the odds are, well, there would be if there were odds. Ali is the one guy in Australia who I think can pull off an upset, no matter who he's fighting.
Yeah.
But Ash is like something else.
Yeah, he's world class, man. He has been for a very long time. Very tough match for both of them. Just due to the different skill sets that each of them bring. Again, they both work with amazing teams. I know Ash is always ready to go. He's always, no matter what he brings it, man, he's entertaining. He's a showman, you know, and he's technically good everywhere. Ali has such a massive team behind him. He's got the brains behind him too, with Lucas Kennard, and who's also on the card, who will have a good strategy for him. I've worked a little bit with Ali. I had to take a step back for this match, obviously, with Ash. But I will work with him for trials and have for previous trials and whatnot. Same thing, man. A lot of these matches on the card, they're so evenly matched. It really comes down to who has the better game plan and strategy and can implement it on the night. I think we're going to see a lot of wrestling from Ali and a lot of top pressure, a lot of guard retention from Ash, and just attacking a lot of subs. And same thing, I think Ali will be very hard to put away. I think Ash will be very hard to put away. So we could just see a lot of, you know, bursts of energy and scrambles, man. It could be a lot of scrambles. I'm not going to pick. I'll message Ash after this and tell him I think he'll win, and I'll message Ali and I'll tell him I think he'll win. So
I've rolled with Ali a few times as well. Like I love the guy. I always say he's the nicest guy in jiu-jitsu. He's very welcoming at his gym. He has free open mats for everyone all the time. Last time I rolled with him, I thought I was retaining guard for like a good 5 minutes, and then timer was about to go. He just walked past him.
Yeah. He's so good, man. I've been able to train with him quite a bit too, and he's so strong and he's big for the weight class. You know, they're fine at 70, which is probably a benefit to both of them. I know 66 is a bit of a rough cut for both of them, so 70 is good for both of them. And they should be fresh. You know, shout out to Ali, and obviously we're very, very close, but to do this training camp as well through Ramadan, but also not use that as an excuse, you know, like, and I'm not up to date, but I'm not knowledgeable enough on Ramadan to comment on it, but just from the outside looking in, I assume it would be very, very tough just normally. So to do it as an athlete as well is you know, it's a big upset, Ali, you know, and I know if the match doesn't go his way this weekend, he wouldn't use that as an excuse to why it wouldn't, and that just shows the character of the man, and he's amazing. So.
Yeah, he's such a legend. So this appearance will be the most of any Subversion athlete, and he's currently undefeated. So that's going to be a crack. And Ash beat Jeremy Skinner last time, right?
Yeah. He did.
In the crowd, everyone thought that Jeremy was going to take it because he just come off recently the ADCC.
Yeah, Ash doesn't have, like, he's getting a bigger name out here, but you know, obviously in Europe, the UK, and America, he's got quite a big name. I didn't see, you know, same thing. Jeremy has beaten me in the past. I love Jeremy. Ash's style is a bit of a nightmare for Jeremy with his ability to defend leg locks, his ability to wrestle and pressure and things like that. But Jeremy don't have to worry about it anymore. He's quite big these days, so you
don't know how that happened.
66 anymore. So yeah.
That's going to be a cracker. And then there's Olivia versus Adele. Obviously, Adele's won worlds at brown belt.
Yep.
In gi and no gi, right?
Yeah. Actually, I don't know about the gi. I don't talk to her about the gi. If she tries to talk to me about the gi, I just walk away. She could have. She's amazing. So
I'm pretty sure she won in gi as well. But I could fact check it. But who cares? We'll just say she did.
Yeah.
And obviously she qualified for ADCC last time, and then had a really tough match against Fionn. The eventual winner. And then she's won. So complicated and stupid. She won in Singapore.
Yep, she won trials in Singapore. Yeah.
So that means she gets a ticket to do the trials in Thailand.
Yeah, and if she wins that, she goes.
Then she goes. Yeah, so that seems a bit weird. But she's up against Olivia, who's a good matchup as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one Luke and I both came together and asked for because it's very hard to match Adele with anyone in Australia that's not on the international circuit. She's obviously up there with the big names and has the big super fights as well. So. I just spoke to Luke and said, would Olivia be keen? And he was keen. And then we took it to the powers that be at Subversion and were able to get it made happen. And then, shout out to Matt for chucking a title on the line too. And obviously George as well, which is great for the women. I think it's amazing. I think it's a tough match for Olivia. And I know I'm going to corner Adele and I coach her, but I don't think Olivia has felt that level yet, and I think this is a good opportunity for her to feel that level. But Adele was something else, so I obviously think Adele will win. We've got some things in mind that we want to do and we want to work on, so don't be looking for any record breaking subs or anything like that like she did at WNO.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's funny, man. That was the game plan, though. It was funny. Like I said, we plan everything out. Everything. So the kind of things that we planned for Tubby weren't oh, hey, let's get on her legs and try and heel hook her. That's basic stuff. We don't do that. We do, her hand positioning, which side, all these little things. And, we planned perfectly for her to walk into a leg entanglement, and she did. So that's
13 seconds, though.
Obviously the speed wasn't something that we were aiming
That's a
for.
game plan. Yeah. We're going to go out and win in 13 seconds.
That's what I mean, man. When Adele latches onto something, it's different, and until you feel that level, it can be hard. So obviously I think Adele will win, but Olivia is an up and comer, and she's going to do really well, and she could even do some damage at trials at 55, So it'll be really good to see her get this opportunity.
So they've both fought Nadia Franklin and beat them. I think Olivia fought Nadia in the State of Origin card for Subversion.
Yeah, Nadia's a hard one because she's so talented, but a lot of the time she has to compete at weight classes lower than what she'd like to in the IBJJF, and she's quite. When I say she's quite bigger, I don't mean in a disrespectful way. She's quite tall and whatnot. So I think she fought Olivia at 60, and that's a bit of a cut for her. Whereas, when she walks around at 65, 66, which is her normal walk around rate, I think she's incredible. She fought my partner Bam on tough rolls last year, and I said to Bam, you're going against one of the best females in the world, regardless of belt or weight. She's really that good. So I'd love to see that one back at, depends on what Olivia walks around at, but at a higher weight. But, even Nadia and Nikki would be a cool one to watch for, a future Subversion title. That would be a cool one to watch because Nikki's amazing too.
Yeah, so speaking of Nikki, she's fighting the GOAT, Fionn.
Yep.
Nikki's obviously was on at ADCC 2022 and fought Gabby Garcia.
Yep.
And lost by decision, I think it was.
Yep.
How do you see that one?
Yeah, obviously, it's a hard one. Fionn's, like I mentioned earlier, Fionn's the women's GOAT, I think. I think she's that good. But Nikki has the ability to cause an upset. She did it against Anna Rod on tough rolls, which not a lot of people gave her a hope of winning. And she has that competition experience. She's versed those big names. She's been on the big stage. So that's not going to bother her, So if anyone was going to go after Fionn, it would be Nikki. She don't talk a lot, so people don't either know her or follow her too much, but if you don't, jump on because her jiu-jitsu is ridiculously good. Again, she's probably the favourite to win over 65. Sorry, Nikki, if you're doing under 65, but over 65 for trials, it would not surprise me if she win. And she, again, same thing, trains with an amazing team. She trains with Lee Ting and Dave Mini Marinakis, and Dave's been at ADCC. He's versed the big names. Like, he knows what he's doing, and they really help her get to that level. And she's one of those athletes that's doing gi and no gi, not just one, and competing at a high level at both. So, man, the two female matches on this card, they could be main events anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't bat an eyelid. So credit to not only the females for being that good, but also to Subversion for giving them an opportunity to showcase those skills on a big platform.
I really wonder how Subversion's going to top it next time.
Yeah, I've got an idea if I win my match. So, Matt, you'll be getting a call, bro.
Oh, sweet.
I've got something.
Yeah, as I said, got to get Jake on every single Subversion.
Yeah.
That's the main card for Subversion. Obviously, there's 20 fights. It'll be tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. It's live streamed on Flow Grappling.
Yep.
And obviously, everybody should tune in and watch Jake beat up Yao Market. And then the other one. So, we can't have Jake in here without talking about UFC 300.
Let's go, yeah.
I'm winning the tipping competition between us now.
Stumbled last week, yeah. One of the last pay-per-view, stumbled a bit.
5 for 5 from me.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't know why anyone doubts. Like, you tipped Dustin Poirier on that as well, and I did, but we were the only two people I knew that tipped Dustin. Every single other person tipped Ben Saint-Denis.
And like Dustin was controlling or winning or arguably in that fight with Gaethje last time. He just got kicked in the head.
Yeah.
Like, it happens, man. He wasn't out of it. And then you look at the guys he's lost to, Khabib, okay. Like, all right. Anyone else? Yeah, like 29 other dudes or 28 other dudes or something. So, like, Dustin's still a gangster, man. It'd be interesting to see him in Islam, because I think that, if Volk was the game plan or the blueprint, like, Dustin could, stop a few of Islam's takedowns, and if you can get him tired, maybe he lands a few shots, but maybe jumps Gilly and catches something nice. Who knows?
Yeah, so apparently he's never submitted anyone in MMA with a guillotine.
But I reckon he's got a good one in the gym, because he keeps doing it. So he must have something there.
Well, Khabib said it was the closest he's ever been to tapping in his MMA career as well, when Dustin had that guillotine on him. So it must be pretty good.
It wouldn't surprise me, man.
But just to run through the main card. So it's opening with Bo Nickel and Cody Brundage.
Yep.
A lot of people question Bo Nickel being on the main card, and I always have to explain to them, you don't understand how popular wrestling, and Bo Nickel in particular, is in the US.
Yeah. Also, I think, like, if you look at, the UFC 300 card and who's on it and whatnot, the UFC are looking to the future, and Bo Nickel could possibly be the future. So while you've got UFC 300, he might not be here for UFC 400, etc. So why not build his brand as big as you can now? Because if it does pay off, there's no gamble for them. If it doesn't pay off, it was just a fight early on the card. If it does pay off, it's huge. So, like, I understand it, and I can understand why they'd be upset about some of the the seasoned fighters not getting that spot. But also, the UFC is a business. They want to make money. So, they're looking at fighters that are going to fight for the title, and they can market and send on world tours, etc., etc. So, like, if you got a guy that's had 20 fights in the UFC, but he's probably not close to a title fight, he's a big name, but they've probably exhausted all their options of making money on that guy. So they want someone new. So that's an opportunity for Bo. I think he takes it pretty comfortably.
Yeah. This is the last fight on his current contract, I believe, and then he'll be looking for like $1 million contract.
Yeah, I think he'll be pretty good. And I watched a lot of Bo Nickel when he was wrestling, and he's if people don't know his pedigree, go and do some research. The guy is ridiculous.
Yeah, and I listened to him on Joe Rogan. He's only been striking for a year and a half or something as well. So.
Yeah, but he's also one of those wrestlers too. He's not one of those wrestlers. So sometimes you hear like wrestlers, they were a Division 1 wrestler like 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Bo Nickel was, fighting for an Olympic spot not that long ago, but he still wrestles with his team. Penn State, I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
All the time.
He has a gym. So he opened a gym just up the road from the university. So when people graduate, they move to his gym as well. What I mean is, like, he's wrestling
with these Penn State wrestlers every day.
Yeah.
He's not just doing it for a camp, or he's not like, I'll just lean on my roots from 4, 5, 6 years ago. He's doing it every day. So his wrestling is still sharp, and that's when you see, someone be able to dictate the fight like that. Not like Kamaru Usman's probably the biggest example. And don't take this the wrong way, dude's a legend, but he wrestled a while ago. his striking got way, way better. You know, so like when they talk about him being a Div 1 wrestler against Bo Nickel probably going to have the advantage because he's fresh out of just wrestling. But we'll see what happens.
Bo Nickel will take that one. Yeah. Definitely. And then after that, there's Charlie Olives, ex-champ against Armin Sarukian.
Yeah.
This is a tough fight for Charles Oliveira, man. But he's another one that I find, like Dustin Poirier, that people underestimate him. They always put him as the underdog. They always tip against him.
Yeah.
But you know,
I think Charles will take it, man. Same thing with Armin. I think he's definitely an up and comer. But Charles got that championship experience. He knows if he wins, he's going to get another title shot. And he's just so good everywhere, man. He's entertaining. I love the guy. I think Charles will win.
Yeah, that division is everybody is one win away from a title shot at the moment.
It's crazy, yeah.
Because then you got Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway for the BMF belt. Second time Max Holloway's gone up to fight someone. Last time it was against Poirier, and then he tried to fight Khabib, but then had that weight loss stroke. Yep. They see Gaethje was another one. People doubted him when he was fighting Rafael Fiziev. I was the only person I knew who tipped him. I put money on him, and everyone else was like, nah, Fiziev going to get him. I'm like, dude, it's Justin Gaethje.
Yeah.
Who has he lost to? Khabib.
Yeah, it's crazy how people do MMA math, man. But that one, I think I can't go. Max is my favorite fighter, man. I can't go. I can never tip against Max. Even when he was against Volk, I love Volk, Aussie, but Max is my guy if I had to pick one fighter to watch. I think he can get it done, man. I think, he volume and straight punches. I think the biggest issue, and I say all of this with very little MMA experience, just a complete couch fanboy. But I think if he can avoid heavy damage at the legs, he could definitely test Gaethje. And then the only thing I worry about with Max now is like he's getting into that bracket of like how many wars was too many wars, and and you see it sometimes. Like people don't want to admit it, but then you look at like a Chuck Liddell, he'd take 3, 4, 5 punches to give one because he knows that one's going to put him out. But then later in his career, he couldn't take one. Yeah, and once the chin goes, it's very like it very rarely comes back. So. Hopefully chin holds up, but I think Max puts him. Yeah,
like this. I think with the difference between this one and the Poirier fight is Max has had longer to prepare to bulk up a bit.
Yeah,
I mean it's not like he's taken 3 years off like John Jones did to get to heavyweight, but he's bulked up a bit and he's more suitable to the weight class. But Khabib said Justin Gaethje hits the hardest out of anyone he's ever been hit by, and that's exactly what you're talking about. Like Justin Gaethje could hit him. Max Holloway 100%. Solid.
Yeah.
But I reckon Max Holloway will get it as well, just because he's the best boxer in the UFC.
Yeah. he's the man, bro. I love Max.
And Gaethje doesn't like to wrestle, even though he's apparently an elite wrestler.
But this is what I'm talking about. So like Gaethje wrestled a long time ago, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure he could wrestle like beat shit out of me. Definitely beat me up, but like out wrestle me too. But what I mean is like he's obviously done so much striking with Perillo and making sure that that's the main focus. That if he had a straight wrestling match, which I know this isn't a straight wrestling match, he wouldn't be like he was when he was in college and stuff like that. Does he have better wrestling than Max? Probably. Max has very good takedown defense. But even if he was to go, I'm going to wrestle heavy, I'm not sure it would look like a Khabib fight,
Yeah, definitely. And it's going to be mostly stand-up. But I think those leg kicks is a good point you raised, man. Like, because Justin Gaethje's leg kicks are fast, strong, and hard. Yeah. They always sound like a bat hitting a baseball, and punching back.
Max don't like to check them too much either, man. So, let's see what happens.
Then there's the championship fight, Weili Zhang versus Yang Xiaonan. It's an all-China battle.
Yeah.
The only person who can beat Weili Zhang in my mind is Rose.
Yeah.
And she's beat her twice.
Yeah, I think Weili takes that comfortably. She's very dominant. I think she'll win that easily.
That division, like, what do you think of the women's MMA, women's UFC divisions? There's the low division that has, Raquel Pennington won the championship recently. That was the worst championship fight in the history of fights.
Yeah, I think it's still at that stage where, like, you've got some elite women, and then you've got some women that are still trying to push that barrier and try and get better. But it's not going to take long. I think we're definitely in an age where you have some women that, like your Weili, your Valentina, Rose.
Is it Grasso?
Yeah, Grasso, 100%. Macy Barber. Like, you're getting these ladies that are coming up that are just ridiculously good. We're not too far away from them, like, really. Like, some of the women's fights are incredible. But then you, like you said, you have a bit of a gap in the skill development phase, but it's getting better. You know, the more the sport develops, the more the women are going to bridge that gap. So it's good that they've got a nice high spot on the card, and they're going to put on a show. But I honestly don't know too much about the other girl. I know she fought Mackenzie Dern once. I thought Mackenzie was going to submit her pretty quick, but that didn't happen. So
I just think she's massive, but so is Wei Li. Wei Li's massive for that weight class, too, and she can pick up Francis Ngannou, Wei Li.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Headline for the night is Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill trying to reclaim his title. Alex Pereira's this is his 12th fight in the UFC and already won 2 titles.
Yeah. Man, that's a tricky one. Like, I think early Pereira, I think late Jamal Hill. Like, I think Pereira, even though he's really big, he can still, like, I don't know if he can do it now, but he was making 85, 84, you know, not that long ago. Whereas Jamal Hill is not making that weight. So I think even though they both fight at 205, Jamal's going to be bigger in terms of, like, carrying that weight more often than Pereira does, which could lead to the later rounds. And, you know, when Jamal fought Glover, he didn't slow down. And Glover's a tough fight, man. Glover's a tough fight for anyone. Can Jamal take the power? I'm not sure.
That left hook?
Yeah, or the leg kicks. Can Pereira take the power? Because obviously Izzy put him out as well. So we know that he's not invincible in that department. Like, this is just like an interesting fight. Like, it could go either way, man. I'm going to go with Pereira just because I like history. And I think what Pereira's doing is creating a lot of history. And he's just an exciting dude in terms of, similar to what we were talking about before, find your niche, stick to your niche. Like, he's very much like stoic, don't smile, don't laugh. Like, that's his character, you know. And then you see some of his YouTube videos, he's not like that all the time, but that's his character that he plays. And, you know, he found that. Now he's making millions. When, you know, a few years ago, he wasn't even fighting anymore. He said he was sitting on the couch. So I'd like to see Pereira win. I think that sets up a lot of interesting matchups, not just at light heavyweight, but, you know, who's to say that John fights Stipe and Alex fights Tom Aspinall, you know, like...
Oh, that'd be a dream.
What I mean? I think Tom would win, but, like, I would love to see someone be able to do that, you know, challenge for 3 belts. There's a guy in one, I can't pronounce his name, he's a Russian dude. He's just won 3 belts, you know, and that's like, it's crazy. You can fight at that many weight classes and be that good.
Apparently Alex walks around at like 225 as well.
Yeah.
I don't know how he made 85. Like, that's
like he's a big dude, but like I said, I think there's a big difference between carrying and cutting compared to walking around that big constantly, you know. And Jamal Hill's pretty good, but he's come back from injury too. So, like, first one back from injury, like, let's see how he bounces back. But great fight to finish the card on.
Yeah, Alex Pereira became my new... I love Stipe. Stipe's my favourite fighter. Like, I loved him. I loved when he beat the crap out of Mark Hunt, like 361. Looking at the ref going, shouldn't you stop this? But then when he's been basically retired for 3 years, I just fell in love with watching Alex fight. I love that second Israel Adesanya fight was a nightmare for me, but I really want to see this. Everyone was writing Alex off for the Jiri fight. Yeah. And then he put it on him. Yeah.
I definitely would have favoured Alex more in the Jiri fight than this one. I think this one's a lot closer than people think it is. But yeah, I still think he gets it done.
Yeah, sweet. And me too. Jiri's actually he's the headlining the prelim cast.
Yeah, he's got my spot. Yeah.
The car. So you like Jiri for Husker?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Thanks for that.
All right, man. Thanks for coming. It was awesome to hear all the insights on being a professional athlete. Seriously, it's something that I have a lot of interest in. A lot of our listeners do. You're gonna take a training with Ali now at SWA. Yep. Just a quick housekeeping. Tuesday, Mitchell Pearce is in for the podcast with me and Dan. Everyone shouldn't forget to sign up to SmartB and listen to the racing update today, and follow at SmartB app on social media. And you want to give your socials and your sponsors a shout out?
Yeah, socials I think is Jake OD _ Essence BJJ. I think it's something like that. But if you search Jake O'Driscoll, it'll
I searched for Jake O'Driscoll at the time.
Instagram is where I'm mostly at. I've got a Patreon, so check that out. It's only $20 a month, and I post a lot there. And then sponsors, obviously SmartB, thank you so much for having me. Scramble, we're launching in Australia pretty soon. Got Gorilla Cairo back home. He's a legend, man. He was at the beach suntanning yesterday, and I was like, man, I need an adjustment. And he come straight, gave me an adjustment. So big shout out to him. Elite Sups in Belmont and Black Magic Finger Tape. I hope I'm not forgetting anyone. I feel like I am, but if I am, I'm really sorry. And then just obviously my team back home, Essence. Thanks for supporting and allowing me to live my dreams and compete and keeping the gym from not burning down. I really appreciate it.
You better hope.
I mean, as long as my insurance is up to date, it's not too bad.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. That was awesome. And we're off now. Bye, producer John.